remember what I said? Just me and you at first?
Yeah.
All right. Are we on there now?
We've been live for 45 seconds.
Oh. There's a bit of a delay in my...
In your mic?
No, in my life. All right. Welcome to the first ever weekend wrap-up live from the Fortress of Ratitude. I am that beehole Nick Jordan.
I don't know. I think I'll be Jonathan Shepler today.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I felt like I was going to need to explain real early on that because you're known by so many names and everybody knows Shipwreck Shep and Bull Shep and, you know, obviously your name Jonathan Shepler on shit, but nobody knows Playboy.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, because only I call you Playboy. And I was like, I know I'm going to be like Playboy this, Playboy that. And people are going to be like, what is that?
Yeah.
So
get that out of the way right now. Playboy.
That's my nickname for bullshit. And it's been about 10 years of that. So
yeah,
I'm not going to change my ways now. So if you hear me say Playboy, that's his nickname as well. But he doesn't want anybody else to call him that.
We got Jesse Wright already stepping in B-hole. Hey, B-hole, B-hole, B-hole. Oh, no, that's right. Was that the computer or was that me?
I don't. Was it real?
That was real.
I can't. Oh, I just see, hey, B-holes.
Yeah.
So were you doing like a max headroom thing there?
Yeah, I totally did. It's fucking around.
So, being that this is the week.
Now. I have no idea what's going
on. The weekend wrap up implies that we will be wrapping up things that happened over the weekend. And so let's start with a little bit of that. And then we'll get into our guest this week, deep inside. Get into it. So
it's gonna get sexy.
Oh yeah. I actually was lucky enough, Ashley and I, that's my lady, went to the Refuge on Friday night and saw Free Candy and Medicinal Moonshine and Southbound Beretta and Decay the Mind. And this Refuge place was awesome, man.
Where
is
it?
Show.
What side of town?
Over off on Minnesota Street. So
okay, like southeast.
Probably. I'm bad. You know,
there's a West Minnesota and
I'm
East Minnesota.
Super bad at directions.
Now that I think about it,
so like Tibbs in Minnesota.
That's west. So yeah, that's cool.
But, it was awesome, and the like garage was fucking. I love house shows, and so if the opportunity presents itself for a house show, that's like gonna probably be my druther
for sure. Yeah.
And with that being said, if you're watching the show and you're somebody that puts on house shows or something, definitely make sure we know about them because we want to plug that shit.
Amen.
And I was not, and apparently the Refuge, they've been putting on shows for like 10 years. So bandmate from Republican Sex Blanket, Wesley, is in Free Candy as well. So, and I think he had been in Decay the Mind, and it's their place. And yeah, they've been letting fucking bands play there for like 10 fucking years or some shit, man. It sounds, it was awesome. And packed garage, good energy. All the bands like sounded fucking good. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, and I think that here in the next probably day or two, depending on busyness, but hope to get like some videos and some photos that we took while we were there up on the Chopped Liver page for that. So
absolutely,
that was cool. So at Long Shot, Plain Jane and Her Ghost and Bermuda's Burden and Toss and Turn and Afterglow played. That was a fucking sounds like a. We just saw Plain Jane and Her Ghost open up for.
Is the Afterglow from here?
So when we saw it, is it?
I don't know.
Are
I'm
they?
asking you, man.
The
I don't know. As soon as you said it, it just
thing of it is okay. So
so much for the afterglow. We just lost your phone. So the camera's on me now. That's tasty.
what happened?
I know.
I mean, hopefully they can still hear me at least.
Yeah. Oh,
It's not that I was doing anything great visually in the first place. So
It just got super sexy in here.
yeah, it's just the voice. Now that you can't see me and it's just the voice.
Oh yeah.
At PRN on Saturday, that was Milk Toast and Smart Shoppers, the Idiot Kids, Alex Casnell, and the board of directors. So that is an awesome show as well. That happened at SSP on Thursday night. Makizo, Sonora, and Upper Decker. I think Upper Decker's just getting started, and so it sounds like they're fucking doing some cool shit so far. And we actually saw Makizo play before, and they fucking like, and obviously I think everybody like knows already about Sonora, but
Oh hell yeah. Snore's dope.
so the 9th. What's today's date?
Today?
Yeah,
It's
the 11th.
Yeah.
All right. So Friday at the Mill, Hero Jr. played. That's
Yeah, I was there. I was
yeah.
at that show. It was pretty good.
shit. Well, we'll have to talk about that when we actually
Absolutely.
get you brought on the show. So maybe pipe down until then.
Don't be rude, Nick.
Oh, spoiler alert. Yeah, so Austin Nethery Band, I think Fino Irish Coalition. Let's see. Well, if today's 11th, this Mr. Clit show's in the wrong fucking place. All right. So we'll get to that. All right, let's bring up.
Sounds good to me.
So you guys probably just saw, and we've tried to hype up a little bit of, because a lot of people probably don't know who you are. So we felt like we should do our best to get it out there and before we brought you on. But Nick Bones of Ninth Circle Symphony
What's
joins the
up?
show for our inaugural presentation. Nick, how's it going, man?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on here, guys.
Hell yeah.
We recently discovered that we actually have the same first name.
I know, right?
And that was confusing at first.
Yeah, because they were like Nick, and I'm like, me? No, Nick.
Yeah. And then
Me?
you were like saying something, and I was like, I can't tell if he's talking in the third person or talking about him.
Yeah,
Like, it was weird. You remember that?
I do actually, because I was checking out your sexy ass legs.
Oh, they are pretty fucking.
I know, right, dude?
nice.
You know how much time I spend in the gym to get legs like that? And like, you're like, I don't even go to the gym.
Born with it. Born with it.
Fucking can't hate it though, man.
Well, you have things going for yourself as well that I don't have. So.
Yeah, like this awesome fucking mohawk.
The dick tits.
The dick tits, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice shirt.
Thanks, buddy.
Aren't they? They're coming to Indy here in a few, like next month, right?
I think.
Yeah, I think they're playing at Black Circle
Oh, yes. That
Yeah.
sounds right. Yeah.
with who else are they playing with? I can't remember.
Not my band, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like that, keeping it real
Yeah.
right
I
out the
work-
gate.
I wore this shirt just for you.
I like it a lot.
Oh yeah,
I was checking it out before the show started, and I was like, that shirt fucks.
yeah. I grabbed it and tossed it in the car. I'm like, I'm wearing this on the show
Fuck
for Nick.
Yeah, I love
Hell
it.
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't
cool
get
shirt.
it. What is it?
It's a Baphomet, but it's Rick.
Rick.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty?
Rick
Yeah.
Sanchez.
All right.
Yeah.
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 Jesus.
I think you've
That was all I
mentioned
got.
are you a big Rick and Morty guy?
Not I wouldn't say big. I enjoy the show and I enjoy some of the space that they go into.
You might want to move your mic in a little
I
bit.
tried, but it's like
I got you. I'll take care of it.
yeah. It's over here on this table, and I was like, I'm not smart enough to move it.
Huh. That's going to make conversation interesting, man.
It will.
I thought you were a little smarter.
Joke's on you. I'm a dumbass.
Well, now it's going away from me. It's going to be a big thing. Yeah, but I'm no smarter
now-
than him.
No, you can hear me.
Oh, my mic fell.
It's fine.
Sit on it, bro.
It's just the screen.
Did we mention this is our first time?
Yeah, I think
Virgins.
yeah, I think you guys did
Virgins.
mention that.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I'll be your guinea pig.
And that's why I hit you up.
Yeah.
there was never a second person getting hit up. bro.
I love it.
You know,
Shit.
it was like I'm hitting up Nick. I
Hell
gotta
yeah.
talk to him because you're an interesting dude.
I
You know,
appreciate that.
and meeting you and talking to you a couple of times, you know, it's like you get a sense of people, and it's like now that's an interesting. And you know, I want to talk to you about some things that I think that people might not know about you.
Okay.
But I also want to get out of the way first, probably the things that are super obvious that we should talk
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
about. So obviously Ninth Circle Symphony.
Yeah, man.
Tell me a little bit because they've been around for fucking ever. They've been
Long
around
time.
probably, I know there were other bands, but just Ninth Circle Symphony alone has been around damn near as long as Fiber, Tight Like a Tiger shit. So you haven't not been with them though for the entire history of the
No,
band.
no.
So-
I was a fan first.
All right, go into
Yeah.
Shep was a fan of Fiber before he joined the band.
Oh,
it was his
shit.
dream.
I
yeah.
love that. I love that. Yeah.
Listen, I had the Fiber Pure Potent Power album in my car. and
Oh,
never
shit.
left. It's all I listened to for like ever. And
Okay.
that's other bands too, by the way.
Right.
But, I just ended up joining that band.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
So tell us about how
Sure.
you got to be in Ninth Circle Symphony.
Oh,
man.
man. So I had like during COVID, like a lot of people, because I live all the way the fuck down in Columbus,
Okay.
and there's nothing cool going on there. It is a
No,
lame as
it
fuck place to
sucks.
live.
Columbus fucking
It
sucks.
fucking
It's
sucks.
known for drugs and racism.
Yes.
And Cummins, of course.
Yes.
Have
it's
you
a
lived
fucking
there
company
like
town.
forever?
Most of my life, except for when I was in the military. Obviously, I didn't live in Columbus, but
Do you know we played with the Razor Ramones? Do you know
that
those
sounds- that
guys at
sounds
all?
familiar.
They were I mean, I don't know. We did a lot of funny promo shit fucking back when the WrestleMania shows first started.
Yeah. Oh, I know who you're
But they're
talking about
from
now.
Columbus, and they actually
Yeah.
brought us there for a show.
Oh shit! It was
It was
probably
at a-
Emerge Wrestling or something like that.
No, it had nothing to do with
Oh,
wrestling.
No shit.
I mean, they had like a wrestling, the Razor Ramones, obviously, like their
Yeah.
gimmick was kind of wrestling, but it was like pop punk. But they brought us to Columbus to play at like a pub. They had,
was
I remember
Columbus.
drinking IPAs and shit.
Yeah,
like,
I bet it was Columbus Bar.
maybe it was
Yeah.
right down in like
Yep,
the
That's
thick.
where you were.
But yeah, other than that, man, nothing really ever good came out of Columbus until you. So
Me. So Ninth Circle Symphony, like I was saying, I lived down in Columbus. There wasn't a lot going on. I had been divorced for like a couple of years, and I was like, I'm gonna start getting back into music. I want to start going to shows because like I was in the military and I couldn't really go to concerts or shows or anything, you know. And married kids, it was hard for me to get out. And so, my kids are older and COVID's going on, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start seeing what's going on in like the local punk scene, because that's what I was really into as a kid was punk rock. And so like I it was like a Google search or something, and I found the Mel Punk Rock Night, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so like I was looking at the schedule of who's gonna play and stuff, and I was looking, when I won't have my kids, when will I have my kids? And there was a band called Ninth Circle Symphony that was going to play the first weekend that I could make it up there. And so I was like, Ninth Circle Symphony. And I looked them up a little bit and found, I was like, wait a minute. Post-apocalypse and fucking punk rock? What the fuck? Like, sign me up for that shit. So like I checked out their music and I was like, okay, they're a little thrash, a little punk. I dig this shit. And I saw Drew and he had like this shit from Mad Max on and these giant shoulder pads. And I was like, okay, this looks cool as fuck. And so I got up there and saw a show and everybody was still wearing masks and stuff. So he had like this red bandana on and Kurt's fucking outfit. You don't see too many pictures of it until like now we make sure to get pictures of that motherfucker, but
Yeah.
he's got like a tank on the back and shit
Yeah,
with a skull.
does it up.
It looks
Everybody
cool
in
as
the band
fuck.
does it fucking
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so like I saw that and I was like, I'm fucking hooked on these guys. These guys are great. Like I enjoy the music
Oh,
and they look fucking cool as fuck.
yeah.
And so like I followed them a little bit and I couldn't go to all their shows, you know, because as a parent, you have shit going on.
We pick our battles.
Yeah, we pick
Yeah.
the shows that we're really gonna go and be like, hey, can I trade weekends with you? You know,
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah,
shit.
Yeah.
And so I went to shows with them, and then when was it? 2021 or something like that. Like it was like September of 2021. Their guitarist, Jason, had left for some reason. I'm not gonna get into the details as to why
Sure.
they separated.
Yeah.
But they were looking for a guitarist to help finish the album. And I was like, oh, I'm a giant fucking nerd. I used to do cosplay shit. I like post-apocalypse and I definitely like the music. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna try out. Because I hadn't really I'd been in other projects, but like,
That's what I wanted to ask before we got too far, because
yeah,
it really brings up like your playing,
Right.
and where did you come from pre Ninth Circle Symphony?
so back in the day as a kid, I was really into like punk rock and Nirvana. That was the shit that I played a lot of. And so I started playing guitar, God, probably like 1993. I was living with my grandparents and they're old hillbillies from Kentucky. Well, they have tons of instruments because everyone was fucking musical.
So like 10 years old, I'm guessing, right?
I was about 11, 12
Okay.
when I started
Alright.
playing the guitar.
Oh yeah.
And it was
Alright.
really, my grandfather had this old Washburn acoustic that was totally out of tune. And he didn't fuck with it anymore because he had arthritis in his hands. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, can I play on that? Can I bang around on it? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so I eventually figured out how to get it in tune. But before then, it was like out of tune and it was really, really low. So it was like that doom metal shit. And I'm just sitting there on an acoustic guitar playing like before anyone knew what it was, like doom metal and shit. But eventually I got it tuned and I was like, oh, I'm going to try to play Come As You Are. And that was one of the first guitar songs that I sort of figured out by ear
Mhm.
because that's how my grandfather played. And he's like, oh, you don't need music. Just listen to it and then, press and figure it out. So I did that. So I banged around on his acoustic guitar until like I got a job as a teenager, and I was probably about 15 when I bought my first electric guitar, and it was a PV Raptor, and it was like touted as being like a new guitar, but it was at used guitar prices. I think I paid like $260 for it. So in 1995 dollars,
Yeah.
that's like
you're
more than a month's saving working
were
a
committed.
part-time job. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I was committed. And so it took me something like 6 months to save up for that guitar. But there's a little guitar shop down in Columbus called Tom Pickett's. He's been there since fucking World War II or something crazy. He's like, the dude's like 100 years old and still works at his shop.
That's awesome though.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a cool dude. But he like, I was $5 short and he goes, you know what, kid? Take it.
Mhm.
Because I was like, I'm dying to get this guitar out of layaway. And he's like, you know what, just go ahead and take it. I can see how passionate you are. So I got that guitar and it came with a little practice amp. And it was like it had a button that you push for distortion. Distortion, you know what I'm saying?
on this acoustic.
Well, no, it was the electric guitar,
Oh, okay.
but the amp that I bought with it, it had a distortion button. And
Yeah.
it's like that's not distortion like we would call it today. So, I played around the electric guitar probably for 6 months and I started saving up for more stuff. And I got a Boss Metal Zone pedal because my idol, Sammy Dewitt, at the time he was in a band called Acid Bath. That's what he used. Sammy Dewitt's in Goat Whore now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I met him actually.
Nice.
He's a cool dude. So, you know, I did
He
that.
turned me on to Goat Horror, and I've got a couple of their CDs actually.
I'm
They're good
the
shit.
metal guy. Actually,
Yeah.
you're into metal too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm into just about everything.
me too.
Yeah. But I did that for a while, and then some kids that I was in school with were into punk rock, and I was like, "Oh, I like punk rock," and they're like, "No, you probably like Green Day," and I'm like, "I do like Green Day, but I like punk rock too, like Rancid and the
Yeah.
Dead Kennedys and shit." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we used to play with this band called Government Cheese. That wasn't the band that I was in, but we played shows with them. We had like
That sounds familiar to
Yeah.
me, but I also think Government Cheese, there's probably been some bands
bunch.
called
Yeah. So we played house shows down in Columbus because there was actually a pretty good punk rock scene because there was a bunch
Nice.
of kids, you know.
Yeah.
Columbus didn't shit to do, but
I bet, do you wonder if it's the same now at all? If that shit like
it
still,
doesn't. No.
because I know from Lebanon, like
Mhm.
when, you know, which is just a little 20 minutes north of Indianapolis. And when I was a teenager in the early 20s, like we were putting on shows, we were doing shit. There was like a little fucking scene of about
Yep.
5 or 6 bands.
Yep.
And I'm like, there's no way now.
Yeah.
Like there's not even, the bars aren't, you know, hopping and shit. Like,
Right.
it just seems dead as fuck.
Yeah. It definitely is in Columbus because my kids are that age now. And I'm like, "Hey, is there a scene here?" And they're like, "Oh, no." And so we would also go to Bloomington to play because that was like the punk rock mecca for us.
All
Because
right.
Bloomington from Columbus is only like 45 minutes.
Mhm.
And there was a place that was all ages called Rhinos. It's
Yeah.
closed. It closed like in the late 90s, early 2000s. But we would go there to see punk bands play. And it was like, holy shit, I'm at a concert
Mhm.
with all these fucking punk bands. And it was like a really ratty hole in the wall
And
place.
at that time, you're like
This
super
is fucking awesome.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can be just totally life-changing
Yes.
moments
Yes.
with music and shit.
Yeah. And
So
I can't even remember the bands that we would go watch, but like it was never anything big, like, you know, the bigger punk bands. They didn't
Mhm.
come through Bloomington. You know
mhm.
what I'm saying?
Sure.
They didn't
I
even really
mean,
come through Indianapolis.
right.
So it was a lot of local bands that we would listen to, and most of them don't exist anymore. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So we did a punk rock band. I don't even remember the name of it because we had like 20 different names. We would change every time we played a show. Like,
Hell
no,
yeah.
our vision is now this, so we're gonna do this. This is our name now. You know what I mean? Because kids are kids. And then you know, you leave high school and you start moving on, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna really, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm an adult, man. I'm not gonna do this kid shit. And then, you know, went to the military, and that kind of kills your music career.
So talk about, let's hang out there for a second.
Yeah, the military.
Military.
So I joined the Army, oddly enough,
2001.
September the 11th of 2000.
Oh,
I
all right.
shit you not.
Wow.
It was wild because like my anniversary had come up to re-enlist, and you don't always remember the date you join.
Right.
And
right.
I was like, the guy that was doing my paperwork was like, September the 11th of 2000? What are you, fucking clairvoyant? And I was like, oh shit. No, I didn't realize that. Like, that's fucking wild and shit.
Oh yeah.
So I joined like before the war on terror and everything, and it was completely different. Like I went because I was like, you know what, I'll do a couple years, get some money for college, so I don't have to work in factories
yeah.
in fucking
Yeah.
Columbus, Indiana. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so I join, and then I get through basic training and everything, and they're like, the war on terror has begun, and I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't sign up for this, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and-
you ended up like in combat.
Eventually, yeah, like, you know, I didn't adjust very well to the military life because I don't like being told what the fuck to do.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
that
let
would kill
me
me too.
let me like just get in here for a second. Shep, am I even?
No, not at the moment. I was.
I feel like sometimes if I'm talking, they should see me though.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just trying to change it around a little bit.
All right. So 9/11 happens.
Yeah.
I'm laying on
Everyone, all of us our
living
age
on the
remember
floor.
where the fuck we
Oh
were.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. And I remember my buddy Hippie J. It's like he's sleeping on the couch and I'm sleeping on the floor after a long night, and he's like, "Hey man, a plane just hit the World Trade Center," and I'm like, "What?" And I like wake up long enough to like register that, but then fall right back asleep.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it was later, and he's like, "Dude, another plane just," and I'm like, "What?" And now I'm like, "Oh, what?" Like this is, I've never heard
Right.
anything like this. And so yeah, with like I think it was the next day I was hitting up to be like, I feel like we're under attack. I gotta fucking join the fucking military.
A lot of people did.
And
Mhm. I
uh
was in the same mindset as well.
the
Yeah.
the thing of it is, so they're talking to me and they're like, well, you know, this, that, and can you pass a drug test? And I'm like, no.
Wait.
I and
Get
it's
back
kind of like
into
one
it.
of those things where they were like, well, you know, if you can give it 30 days and or whatever and get to where you can then hit us up. And yeah, that didn't,
Yeah.
by the
Didn't pan
time,
out. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep doing my jokes.
so
You
I
do
was
what you
like,
gotta
here's the
do.
thing, like take me in, get me into boot camp. I won't have access to,
Yeah.
like I'll clean out then, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like expect. I feel like if I'm going into the military and it's like we're at war, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna like smoke hella weed and drink like crazy up until the day I report.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna show up to
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
at least
I could-
hungover.
I could see
But-
Lazy Boy like coming out the roof of a tank and it's just like all this smoke
Smoke
barrels
it
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like real fucking sound like, all right, let's
Where
fucking
they at,
get 'em."
bro?
There's like a whatever insurgent right there. He's like, hey man, can I use your lighter?
But you mentioned like anti-authority, and I've always been
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
like I'm smart assed with people that like kind of try to come over, like teachers and
Yep.
starting in elementary school.
Yeah.
If
same.
I felt like they were kind of powering over me, I would be a smart, like
Yeah,
it
same.
always has been my problem.
Yeah. Same.
And so you find yourself
So
is
I'll tell you a
9/11
story.
era.
Yeah.
You're in the
Yeah.
military. You hate authority.
Yeah.
And
I had
let's
actually,
pick it up from there.
I was in basic training. I'd gotten into a lot of trouble because I was something like a 2-pack a day smoker in when I joined at a young age, because I started smoking when I was like 13 years old.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So by the
And
time
you're
I'm
not
like,
allowed to smoke in the, like when you're
not in basic training, you cannot use any tobacco products while
Okay.
you're in training.
All
Were you
right.
allowed to drink coffee at least?
No,
It's no,
no
substances
caffeine,
whatsoever.
No substances whatsoever.
Holy shit.
No masturbation either.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is it's like completely
Yes.
drug control, because
Yes.
I mean, drug is like porn.
They control
the
every
word is-
aspect
the-
of your life.
The word could be made into so many different things. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
Yes.
it
It is complete and total control. Like when you go to the bathroom, when you wake up, when you go to sleep, when you eat, what you eat, how you address people.
were you
literally.
about it for like when you first get and it's first like is it something that you immediately kind of rejected or you know felt
For
like
me,
oh,
yes.
this, like
Within
I
the
regret
first
now
week.
that I'm here, or did it like grow from as time went on?
It got worse as time went on, but immediately I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Because like my grandfather was in the military, my dad was in the military, my uncles were in the military. So I was like, well, they can do it. I'm going to do it too. You know what I mean? I need money for college and
Yeah,
shit. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So like within the first week, I was already in trouble. Like they gave me a psych eval because I was not willing to just do arbitrary authority. And I had a tattoo. I don't know if it's going to show up, but this shitty tattoo right here of the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, are you a devil worshiper? And I was like, that's besides the point. That's not why you know what I mean? And I don't worship the devil, and I didn't then either, you know
Well,
what I
I
mean?
think we're gonna get into that. So
Yeah,
let's
well,
not
sure. Yeah,
stay
right,
there
right,
too bad.
right.
Or
But they
too bad.
sure, because I had tried to put that I was a Satanist on my dog tag. So between the tattoo and my attitude and that, they were like, we have to give this guy a psych eval. So within a week
Here
already,
we call that gratitude, though.
yes, gratitude. I was already like, nah, this isn't cool. And so like they shoved me through anyways because I passed. You
Did
know
they
what I mean?
put something else there?
They made me put Christian non-denominational.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I remember, and it just I'm not going to go too deep down in this, but my dad, they put Christian Science for some reason, and I
Yeah.
remember seeing his dog tags, and he was like, "I hate that it says Christian Science
Yeah.
because I just said Christian, and I don't know why they put that." Anyway, I mean that's a whole other thing, but it's so I guess I took from that they make you put fucking something.
Yeah. And atheist wasn't okay.
Really?
You couldn't even, yeah, they were not cool
Wow.
because it was the late 90s or 2000s, man. Like you had to be a Christian more or less.
There,
And
it
so
was
like,
going to have Christian in there somewhere.
yes,
All right.
yes. And so like I'd probably been in training is something like 12 weeks long for basic training. Number one, I thought it was going to be shorter than that because I wanted to go infantry. See, that's another thing about the military. The fucking recruiters will fuck you. So
Okay.
my recruiter, I was like, I want to be infantry because that's what my dad was. That's what my grandfather was.
And that's
I
what
want-
you think.
I was
you're
like, yeah, I
getting
want to
into.
carry a gun and fuck shit up, man. So that's what I thought I was doing. And I didn't bother to read my contract. I'm a dumb kid, you know what I
Sure.
mean? And so my recruiter realized that. Well, he had a quota to make
For, like,
certain
different-
jobs.
All right.
He needed certain jobs to fill. So I show up to Fort Benning, Georgia, home of the infantry, where
Well,
they do infantry
he's-
training. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. And I'm like, so when do I go to infantry training? They're like, you're a supply specialist. What are you talking about? And I'm like,
Wow.
what the fuck is a supply specialist? Well, you sit behind a desk and fill out paperwork and issue supplies. And I'm like, bro, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you expect to go in to do this gung-ho shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're a paper pusher.
I
So,
think
like-
I would have been relieved, but you had your.
We'll get
you
there.
are-
We'll get there. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I'd been in, like, I don't know, something like I was at the halfway point. And like I mentioned, I smoked a lot. So my running game was shitty as fuck.
Mhm.
You have to be able to run 2 miles within 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's
right.
hauling ass.
That is
Yeah.
hauling ass.
That is definitely hauling ass. And so, I couldn't do it because my lungs were terrible.
Yeah.
And so what they would do is they'd make you run quarter-mile laps. And if you didn't do it within a certain amount of time, they'd make you run another one, and then another one, and then another one, over and over and over. Well, I was fucking over it. And so, like, me and this old boy from Kentucky, we were the slow motherfuckers because we both smoked. And so, like, we're running together and running and running and running. I finally looked down. I was like, I can't believe that motherfucker made me run another goddamn lap. And so this guy in front of me stops and turns around. And he goes, what in the fuck did you just say? And I was like, I can't believe that motherfucker made me run another lap. He's like, follow me, private. And I was like, what?
And
Hold
so
up.
you didn't know who
Wait
he
a-
was that
Because
was
it was a
running
new
there.
drill sergeant. He wasn't wearing his
Alright.
hat. That was the
Alright.
thing. He was dressed like a private.
Huh.
And so we run across the field and it makes me repeat myself to my drill sergeant. And I've got integrity. I do not fucking lie. So I repeated myself.
Yeah.
And my drill sergeant was like, man, you're a fucking dumbass. I'd never heard him cuss before. I was just like, what? And he was like, come over here and tell this guy what you said. And like, he did that over and over and over and got me up to like the guy that was in charge, his first sergeant. And there was like 4 or 5 other drill sergeants standing around. And he's like, tell everybody what you just said. And so I repeated myself. My first sergeant goes, man, you need to shut up. Do you have any idea what you're doing? And I'm like, no, I don't. He's
As
like,
they're like telling you
every
to.
time you say that, you have committed a crime because you have insulted a senior NCO in front of other NCOs.
Huh.
And so I was brought up on charges for saying that motherfucker made me run another lap.
Okay.
So they take me in front of the company commander and shit, and they're like, you are not meant to be in the military. And I was like, clearly I'm not. And he's like, you need to shut the fuck up. You cannot just talk to anybody like that. I was like, sir, yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? And so like he's filling out paperwork. He's like, go pack your shit. You're done. You are not going to be in the military. and I was relieved because I wasn't going to have to listen to arbitrary authority anymore. I was going to have to do this dumb shit. And so I'm in there and I'm packing my bags, and my buddies are like, what are you doing? Why are you packing? I was like, they're kicking me out. And they're like, no way. What did you do? And I was like, all I did was say, I can't believe that motherfucker made me run another lap. Around the corner comes drill sergeant, the one that I called a motherfucker. And he goes, you have got to be the dumbest private I have ever trained in 5 years. Stop packing your shit. Come on. You're not leaving. And I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? And so he takes me down to the brig, which is jail.
Okay.
He's like, I hope you enjoy your time here, because you're going to spend some time here. And I was just like, I was shitting bricks at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, I'm getting ready to go to jail.
And so when you say it's the jail,
Yeah.
exactly what we would think of
Bars,
as jail.
sliding doors,
Okay.
handcuffs. Yeah.
Okay.
Jail. And so they take me into this guy's office, and he's talking to me. He's like, do you have any idea that you were committing a crime? And I was like, no. He's like, well, that's not an excuse, but you were. He's like, I know this drill sergeant. He's a cool guy. He's a really good guy. And I was like, okay. Like, he's like, why are you here? And I was like, third generation military, looking for college money. He's like, man, I can't believe your family didn't tell you about this. I was like, no, but I can break a M16 down in like 15 seconds. Like, I'm quick. And he's like, so they told you a little bit, they didn't tell you everything. I was like, oh, I had no clue. Well, most of the guys that were in my platoon, they were all trying to get out of jail. Like, the judge had said, you can either go to jail or you can go to the army. So they went to the army, and I was one of the few people that had a relatively clean record. And he's like, look, we're going to take your money away, and you're not going to get any leave, but we're going to keep you in. I was like, what do you mean you're going to take my money away? So in the military, one of the punishments they can do is deny you pay
For a set
amount of time. For a set amount of time.
Okay.
And so at the time,
on some level, you've got room and board.
Right.
There's
toiletries. You have to buy
know.
your own toiletries and stuff like that. So in 2000, I was being paid $12,000 a year. That's terrible. Even by those standards at that time, that was terrible. So,
but in a situation
right,
where you're not having to pay any overhead
right,
to live.
right.
So, I mean, in all fair, I'm just saying, like, if I'm putting,
I wasn't going to be homeless.
My $12,000 in that moment and yours is
more.
Slightly different.
Yes,
you know.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. So they took my pay for the rest of the time that I was in basic training. I should have gotten paid something like $3,000 or something, and I ended up getting paid like $500. It was a little bit more than that.
And after basic training, is
ended.
there like you go home
training.
for a time?
So I was supposed to, but they denied it because I'd gotten into trouble. So normally you finish basic training and then you go on leave for like a week or so, go home. And you're like, oh, look at me. I'm cool.
Right.
And then you go to advanced training.
I remember that side of it, having friends come back and they're there for a week or two until they get like told where to fucking go or some shit. Right.
And once you complete basic training, generally you're promoted from a no rank to a private. So you're like a private recruit.
Okay.
Private.
So day one, you're not even a private.
No, they call you private because it's easier to say than private recruit.
Okay.
And so they denied me my promotion. I was the only person that went into advanced training as an E1.
Okay.
So which is no rank. You don't wear rank at all. It looks like you haven't gone through basic training or anything.
Now I'm guessing though there's a bit of a turnaround story here where
you
start getting the ranks and
yes.
All right.
So went to advanced training and it is much more lax. You get free time, like you can smoke. You're not supposed to, but you can smoke. Like I had a CD player so I was able to like listen to music and shit like that. You're still living in barracks with like a large group of people, but
it becomes kind of a home.
It's like college.
You're comfortable, right?
It's like you're away at college. It's more like that because you're going to school during the day. You still have like the physical regimen in the morning where everyone gets together and does push-ups and sit-ups and stuff. But you're in training and they start treating you like a person again. And so I lucked out, and the guy that was training me did not like arbitrary authority. And he when you are that way, you sort of recognize each other and you're like, oh, okay, you have a problem with authority too. And so he would like explain things to me because I'd be like, why? And he'd be like, well, you got to do this because you got to know how to do this. And then, when you get down the road, you'll know how to do that. And it won't be just someone barking orders at you. I'm like, all right, cool. So he kind of took me under his wing a little bit and was like, showing me how to be a soldier and how to exist um, in that world while having a problem with it. And so he trained me and it was good shit. I learned a lot. I ended up becoming a unit armorer. So I was the guy that fixed guns, the rifles, the machine guns, the big heavy shit. And that was fucking cool.
So like a gun mechanic, essentially.
Yes, I was a
All
gun
right.
mechanic. That's what I ended up specializing in. And so I learned a whole lot, got to shoot every single weapon that the army used. I mean everything. And it was really, really cool to shoot some of that shit. Got to blow up a Claymore mine and shoot an AT-4, which is sort of like the modern bazookas, shit like that. And so I was like, hell yeah, this is fucking cool ass shit. And so, I graduate and everything, and I get to go home on leave.
And where are we at now, time wise? Is it
So-
still 2000?
No, it's 2001 at this point.
Okay.
So it is July 1st of 2001.
All right.
And I'm home on leave.
Yeah. I was gonna say 5th or 6th grade, maybe.
Oh, gee,
Could you imagine?
Funny as fuck. Yeah.
That young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm home on leave and shit. And I do that and I go back and I do my time. And I only signed up for 2 years because anytime you sign up for the army, you sign up for a minimum of 8 years, but it can be like 2 on, 2 off, or
Really? Okay.
6 off. So
Is
they
it
can-
basically that they can call you
Yes.
back for 8
Yes.
years?
yes.
Okay.
And so, I'm doing my thing, and I just get this asshole sergeant that's in charge of me. And it's that arbitrary authority shit, man. And so I was an E3 at this point, so private first class. And I was due for promotion to E4 specialist. And he didn't like the way that I'd had my shit in my locker, and didn't like that sometimes my uniform was wrinkled and shit like that, or I didn't shave that day. I mean, I didn't have any real facial hair at the time. It was real thin and it was blonde. So like it's hard to see if I don't shave
Yeah.
every day. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And so he just had a problem with that. And so I started looking into transferring to the National Guard because I saw that if it doesn't work out for you in the Army, you can transfer to the National Guard, but you do your whole contract all 8 years. And so I eventually did that.
Okay.
Because I knew that I was going to get court-martialed and I was going to get thrown out if I kept doing this shit.
Okay.
So
So now with the National Guard, is that pre or post?
So
9/11?
I
don't want. Okay,
yeah.
good.
So like late August is when I transferred to the National Guard.
All right.
August of 2001. And so I'm at home, and I actually there's an armory in Columbus, Indiana, and they needed a supply specialist. They needed a unit armorer. I was like, okay,
bam.
fucking that's exactly what I am. All right, universe, I see you. Cool. So, I transferred to that unit. And so I hadn't found a job. September 11th rolls around. And I'm just like, I think I was sleeping on my mom's couch or something like that. And everything starts happening and shit. And she calls me and she's like, are you paying attention to the news? And I'm like, no. Why? She's like, you need to turn the TV
Turn
on.
that shit on right now.
Yeah. So I'd been up late that night for whatever reason, and hang out with mom, and I'm seeing everything that goes on, and my fucking unit calls, and they're like, pack your shit. You just came back from active duty and you're probably getting ready to go back. And I was like, motherfucker, man.
So now this is Army again.
It's
Or
national. It's the
it's-
National
okay,
Guard.
okay,
Yeah, because the
okay.
National Guard got activated for a lot of September the 11th shit
In
in the U.S.
US.
Yeah, for cleanup and stuff.
Okay.
Well, long story short, I didn't get picked to go because I was only an E3 at the time, and they wanted at least E4s to go. So I didn't. I ended up not going to New York to handle that shit, but a lot of my friends did. They ended up going. So I just kind of bebopped around in the Guard doing my thing. Got promoted eventually to E4, and I did some full-time National Guard stuff. I worked at Stout Field for a little bit. And while I'm at Stout Field, I've got this really cushy job making $25 an hour in 2000.
Which is totally outside of the military.
Yes, I was a
Uh-huh.
technician, which is you're a civilian, but you wear a military uniform. You have to be in the
At
National
your
Guard.
job.
At your job. You have to, yeah. So Stout Field is
I've heard of that.
it's a
like,
National Guard post. It's basically the headquarters of Indiana.
Is that
it's
the
where
one
depot
that's
is.
over off of like Lyndhurst or some
Holt.
shit?
It's off of
Yeah,
Holt.
Holt. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
So I'm working there as a technician, and it's 2003 at this point. So it's been a couple years, and I hadn't been sent over yet, and I was kind of surprised, because I was in an infantry unit, and I'm enjoying this job, pushing a shopping cart around, filling it with military gear and shit like that. For people that join, we issued their equipment.
Okay.
And so it's a cushy job, $25 an hour, pushing around a shopping
yeah.
cart. You know what I'm saying? Like
in
there are
2003.
three. So
That's-
that's
I mean, that's
really
really
good,
fucking good.
money. That's
Yes.
really, really good money in
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah.
And so we had a sergeant that was in charge of us, and he was like, Jones. Oh, I mean Bones.
Bones.
I got some bad news. And I was like, are you moving me or something? He's like, nah, you're getting ready to get activated. And I was like, what? How would you know that? And he's like, because I have your orders right here. I have to issue this supply to you in a month. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, your whole unit's going to Afghanistan. Well, I had a kid at this point, and I was married. So like, I'm down in Columbus, just living my life.
Kind
and shit.
of like thinking at this point
That would never
this
happen.
is not going to happen. and
Right,
here they
right.
are like,
Yeah.
all right.
So I got activated in May of 2003, and they sent our whole brigade, which is it was like over 1,000 people,
Oh,
to
no shit.
Atterbury,
Okay.
Camp Atterbury down near Edinburgh.
Okay.
And
I think everybody maybe has
Yeah,
heard
they
of Atterbury.
Atterbury,
but
yeah. And we just take over that whole post, and it becomes an active duty post, because at that point I'm no longer National Guard. It's a weird thing that happens with the National Guard. You become active duty military at
Army.
that point. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
Army. And so you're a federal soldier, owned by the government at that point. So we go through our shit, and I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. But they're trying to train you because you're a civilian that gets thrust into this military role again. And I'd had some experience being full-time Army.
is
and
it
shit.
almost like a second boot camp? then?
Almost, but it was updated, because honestly, when I went to basic training, we were still doing World War II tactics, like in trenches with grenades and shit. And in urban combat, it's completely different, man. Like, you don't have trenches. There's no one wearing a uniform. It's people dressed in their street clothes, so they had to retrain you, and they really put the fear in us. Like, these people, you're invading their home, and they don't want you there. So everyone's out to get
Preparing you for
Yeah.
Afghanistan.
Yes, Afghanistan.
And so you do end up going to
Yeah. So
Afghanistan?
we were at Atterbury for about 3 months, and then I actually had to go over, they call it advanced party. So we were the people that went there first to get everything set up.
in regards to
The rest of the brigade.
brigade,
Yeah.
this other 1,000,
Yes.
they're at home waiting for you.
They're
to
at
get
Atterbury
shit and
yeah.
saying, all right, we're cool. Come on.
Right. So it took a couple days to get over there. We flew from Indianapolis to New York, and then New York to Newfoundland, Canada. And then from there, we jumped over to Shannon, Ireland, and then Germany. And then we went to Budapest. Hungary.
You were everywhere.
Yeah. I've been all
And
over
how
the
many,
world.
with all these places, how long typically are you in?
It's anywhere
one?
between an
Are we
hour
talking
and 12,
so like a
12 hours.
layover?
Yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
but in some countries they won't let you off the plane
And
because you're not because we have
Is this
guns
just
and shit.
commercial air that you're
Yes.
traveling on?
Yes, to a certain
Okay.
point. So we're on commercial air flights.
I think most people would maybe think that there's just military planes
are.
that take off and take
but
you
it's
to
they
fucking
contract all that
Afghanistan.
shit. They contract all of it
Okay.
to save a buck or whatever.
Well,
We're not going to get into that can of worms.
okay.
man.
Yeah.
Um, So like we get to Budapest and they're like, you cannot get off the plane because you have no visa to be here and you're fucking armed. Because we have our M16s at that point. We had M4s, which are the short ones. And so we're sitting on the plane for like 6 fucking hours and we can't get out of our seat and shit. And so we're there, and then they're like, our next stop is Kuwait, and you won't be on commercial airlines anymore. You're going to be on a C-130, which is a cargo plane. So we get to Kuwait. We were there for a day and a half or so. But like at that point, I hadn't slept, and it had been 2 days because you're constantly traveling and it's daylight out.
So that you
And you're
get
on
a
a plane.
chance to park it for 10 minutes in Kuwait and you're out. I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
So like it started to hit me because it's August at this point, and you're in Kuwait and it's like 90 degrees out, and you're in August in Indiana and it's starting to get a little chilly back then.
Mhm.
So we're there and it's just like, fuck, it's hot. And then it kind of hits me. Oh, fuck. I'm getting ready to go into the shit. And so like I try to
Some
sleep.
desert ass, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Can't really sleep, I slept a little bit, but like you're in this giant airplane hangar with like,
Surreal on some level, right?
yeah,
Out of body on some level,
Yes.
I'm guessing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, we leave Kuwait and we're on a cargo plane, and it's like, if you've never been on a cargo plane, you're sitting in nets. There are no seats. It's just these nets.
Almost hammock like.
Almost,
Is how
yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you're sitting there and you're being jostled about, and you're up at 5,000 feet or whatever in the hell, 12,000 feet or whatever, and it's fucking cold because these planes don't have heat. Well, they also don't have bathrooms. So if you have to take a piss or a shit, it is literally in a bucket.
Okay. I mean,
You get a
at least they
curtain,
give you a fucking bucket.
right? Yeah,
Amen.
You
yeah.
don't gotta hold it.
But it's like cold as fuck. So you go from like this super heat to cold as fuck, and then we
Mhm.
land in Tajikistan or Uzbekistan. I don't remember which stan it was.
Where Borat's from.
Yes, yes, Borat. So we're there and we're at an Air Force base, and can't really do anything. You're sleeping in a tent, literally a tent, and you look and there's these mountains, and someone was like, "What? Where is that?" And they're like, "That's literally fucking China."
No, okay.
We were on the border with China.
All these things, it's like, can you even imagine in this country, like access where it's like right over there's this other country, right over
Right.
there's another
Like
fucking
Mexico or
country.
Canada.
No, yeah, but it's a little different over there because there's so many countries kind of
Yeah.
like
Oh,
all
yeah.
around,
literally.
like to where you could be in one day
Yeah.
crossing through 3 or 4
You take-
fucking countries or
You
something.
take 20 of them, and they're half the size of
so
Texas.
different, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not.
So, eventually we get on the plane to go to Afghanistan, and they were like, you need to put everything on, your body armor, your helmet, get everything ready to go. When you land, you will get ammunition. And so, like, we're flying in the back of this cargo plane, and I was lucky enough to have a porthole to look out of. And I'm looking, and all you see is mountains, these brown mountains, literally as far as the eye can see. And I'm like, if this plane fucking goes down, no one's finding us. We will never be found in these mountains because it's like if you've flown
It's
over like an ocean, it
Kind
is
of
like
the
that,
same where
but
it
it's
all just looks the
mountains.
fucking
Yeah.
same.
Kind of like the Grand Canyon in a way.
Well-
No, the Grand Canyon's way smaller than
Oh,
what
is it
we
not?
saw.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it was bewildering how many mountains and for how long they went. And so eventually, like, they let us know that we're getting ready to land and to grab onto something. And I'm like, grab onto something? What the fuck? And they're like, we have to take evasive action. And I was like, motherfucker, what? I'm not even landed, and you're telling me already that like the shit has hit the fan.
Second 0.
Yeah.
Right.
We haven't even got to first second
Yes,
of
so
being
the
here.
plane like starts doing these crazy ass fucking banks, like going down and then pulling up, and I'm like, holy shit,
And
are
you're
we on a
hanging
roller
on for dear
coaster?
life.
And then you hear the flares, and I was like, motherfucker, what flares?
Yeah.
Like,
and then-
what is locked onto us?
Right. I was gonna say, just in case the flares are there to
Yes.
prevent
Heat-seeking missiles,
Exactly.
essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
So someone had locked on.
Hell yeah, dude. You're like
There was an IR laser that had
like
locked onto
right.
our fucking cargo plane. I was like, I'm going to die in the air. I'm not even going to
Before
land.
Yeah, you didn't even get to land yet.
Right.
Fuck.
And so like they're doing all these evasive maneuvers and you're hearing some shit and it's like, what the fuck?
How many other people are in the cargo? Like, how many are there other
Between
guys that are
30
sharing this
and 40
experience
people,
with
yeah.
you, and you're
And so
looking at each other?
I'm
and
literally the
like,
lowest rank.
fuck.
Yeah, I'm the lowest rank. So it was all high ranking officers. And I'm in between this dude that is like 300 pounds, like a giant gorilla chested motherfucker. Like he's huge. And this other big dude. And one's a lieutenant colonel and the other one's a fucking major. And I'm sitting here like,
Are they sitting there calm as a cucumber, or are they shitting bricks?
everyone was pretty much shitting bricks.
Okay.
Even the biggest, bravest
Like,
motherfuckers.
yeah,
like,
dude.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
It-
you
like,
know,
I would assume-
I have
I would-
no frame of reference.
Yeah.
Military, it's like I imagine there's going to be guys just sitting there, like, you know, this is what I fucking do. Like, especially when you say they're all senior to you, so maybe some of them have already been.
yeah. So
over,
there
right?
was
Like-
there was a couple of people that had been to Desert Storm. So like they had experienced some shit. They were in the fucking oil fields and shit when it was going down. So like they'd experienced some shit.
Were they in that moment? Was there conversation happening? Or was everybody, like,
everyone's
just
everyone's dead
Yeah.
ass fucking
ripping?
quiet because
Okay.
there's nothing you can do other than just sit there. Your life is in the pilot's hands.
Right.
And you have to trust the technology and trust the pilot's training to get you through that.
Yeah.
So
And
bring her down. Let's.
So
let's get- how do we get out
eventually
of the air?
land and it is rough as fuck. I'm talking like we hit and it's like, oh fuck, did the wheels come
like
down?
it's on sand or some shit.
Well, no, we landed in Kabul International Airport.
Okay.
And so it's in
So
the middle
a
of Kabul,
is this
Afghanistan.
metropolitan then?
Yes.
Okay.
So the door opens and you can immediately see that you're surrounded by homes. We're in the middle of the city and they have just told us that all of these motherfuckers want to kill you.
Yeah.
And so they start handing out the magazines full of ammo and I'm just like, "Oh my god." They're like, "Do not load a chamber in the round until you get in the truck." And I'm like, okay. So they march us off the fucking plane and I'm looking and literally there's these homes and over there it's not like a house you would see here, it's adobe.
Okay.
And everyone is on their roof because a plane's just landed. And I kid you not, like this runway is surrounded by concertina barbed wire. And there's nothing between the barbed wire and the homes. And there's all these people standing on their roofs and shit. And
and
like,
you
it's
don't
hundreds of
know
people.
who might
Yeah.
be just trying to shoot
Right.
at you.
Right.
from
And
there.
you're just like, oh, fuck. Like, holy fucking shit. Like, any of these motherfuckers could be a sniper or something. You know what I mean? So, like, already we're like, fuck it, fuck. And so they get us on the truck and they tell us to kneel and face out. And I'm like, because we're in the back of like it's called a deuce and a half, which is like a troop transport truck. And the benches, the way that it's constructed is that like you have the sides and then typically you sit on the sides and you're facing each other. Well, that doesn't
I
do
feel
any.
like people can. I feel like that's an old school,
It
like
is.
what I think
The
of.
truck that I
where
was,
there's like
yeah.
lining and there's kind of like
Yes.
a couple of almost like a
literally.
gate kind of thing.
Yes.
Not so much actual like inside. You're still kind of exposed on
Literally,
some
you
level.
are. There's no
and
cover.
there's like you're facing and they're on this side
Yes.
facing each other.
Yes.
And maybe there's a tarp over it or
Yeah.
something.
And so they had removed the tarps that we could
Okay.
see out. And the truck is literally from the Vietnam era. It was made in the 60s, and that's the truck that we're driving.
Now I'm guessing there's actually strategy to that on some level because
Yeah, they were
of the
completely
terrain
unprepared.
and shit.
No, they were completely unprepared, and they were using old as fuck
no,
vehicles.
it just
They were just completely
no
unprepared.
choice.
No choice.
Wow.
This is what they had.
Yeah.
And so they're telling us to kneel and put our backs to each other and face out because the likelihood of us being ambushed is very high. They
Mhm.
know when these planes are going to land and they see a whole bunch of people getting off. They know that we're new, that we haven't
I mean,
experienced it
it's
yet.
not like you were all wearing the
And
same
this is
thing,
just
too.
basically from getting, we're trying
like
to
a walking
get,
target.
right,
Right.
right.
Fuck.
we're trying to get from the airport
To our
to
base.
your military base.
Yes.
Okay.
So
And how far away is the base? Did you know how long
we
of
didn't.
a trip you
We
were going to
didn't.
be getting into?
and they wouldn't tell us either.
Really?
14 clicks.
That's fucking interesting in and of
Right.
itself. to me.
Right, because they didn't
Like,
want anyone to know.
you'll know when we
everything was
get there.
hush, hush. Yeah, basically, they're like, you'll know when we get there because we'll tell you get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And this
All
is in
right.
Kuwait, correct?
This is no. This is in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
So Kabul's the capital. It's the Taliban stronghold. It's where we
We're
were.
dropped
They
right
did not
in.
want us there. And so like it was probably like a 15-20 minute drive because you can't take just a straight road there. They had to like misinform people where we were going, so they think you're going here. No, they think you're going here. No,
Right.
you're going here. And so we get to the base, and it's literally an old Russian trucking company.
Hell yeah. With a bunch of fold out tables inside.
Yes. And so the whole place is bombed out because they had bombed it to get everyone out of that area. And so like there's all these buildings and it looks like a post-apocalypse movie.
Wow.
And I'm not kidding,
And
man.
this is your now. This is your headquarters.
Bombed out buildings and craters in the ground, like warehouses like you would see here that are missing roofs or are mostly destroyed, and you're just like, what the fuck? And so you go through all these checkpoints and shit, and they make you unload your rifle and everything so you don't accidentally shoot your buddy. And
You'll
you
shoot
get out
your eye out, kid.
basically. Yeah. And so they have you walk through all these gates because the trucks can't go past a certain point, and they're checking the trucks for bombs and shit like that, and then so you get past the last gate and you just see a sea of tents, green tents, and they're like, this is where you're going to be for the next year and a half in this tent.
Hell yeah.
And beyond the tents, it's razor wire.
Did you watch much MASH?
No, it didn't. I'd never seen
Sounds
MASH.
like MASH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're all like, there's a mess hall. There's like the kind of like official places, but then it's everybody in their like tents going back and forth from tent to tent and shit.
So the tents had sandbags around them, of course, because we were regularly attacked by mortars and rockets and shit.
You had to get the fuck out of that tent, right? And get.
Well,
was there like
there were bomb shelters, but it was just plywood shacks with sandbags on top of them. We were at what they call a forward operating base. There weren't walls, man. Like it was sandbags, and eventually we got these things called HESCO walls, which are essentially bags with wire around them that they fill with dirt and sand. And so eventually we got walls, but like
how much time did you then spend in Afghanistan?
About a year and a half.
And how much of that time did you get to even have a moment of feeling like I can breathe, I'm safe right now?
No, never.
Not a like not even
never.
So because I feel like we have some other things to get into to where I don't want to just
talk
like
about this right
the whole time, but explain to me maybe a brief overview of your job while you were there, maybe the scariest or like craziest thing that happened, and then how the fuck you got out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to just give me a second before you answer that. So we do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, the Button Guy.
Yes.
For anybody that would like some buttons, hit up the Button Guy on Facebook or Instagram.
If you're in a band, you need buttons. So
we've gotten buttons from him. They are fantastic.
Oh, yeah. You have as well.
Yeah.
You have as well.
It's good stuff.
He's Billy William Boswell. Sorry, I call him Billy, but he is an official sponsor of Chop Liver, anything we do. So you'll start seeing his little button logo on all of our promotions and everything. So
nice.
Yep, that's our go-to button guy, and he should be your go-to button guy.
He makes good shit.
Yes, he
does.
does.
To get some weekend wrap-up buttons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get some
something.
Billy's watching. Hey, we're gonna do that for sure. And get your buttons from Billy.
Oh yeah.
All right, so
back to
So what ends up happening is that I'm assigned to the property book office, which I didn't realize it at the time. We're responsible for all the equipment in Afghanistan. That's both U.S. and Afghan National Army.
So still issuing equipment and
that was
still
the title.
mechanicking
No, I'm
equipment?
not mechanicking guns anymore.
Okay.
So, I am essentially a bodyguard for an officer at this point. I spend maybe 1 day a week issuing uniforms. I was the uniform guy. You came to me if you needed new boots or whatever. But what ends up happening is that this officer, he has to go out into the country like 2 and 3 times a week. And so I'm like his driver slash bodyguard, his eyes while he's doing his thing. And so I'm constantly outside of the base. And you would think, oh, well, you're probably like in a Humvee or something. No, I drove a Ford Ranger, no armor.
Really?
Literally, there was no armor on it.
Is that to keep it low key or
No,
just
because
because
that's all they could
necessity
get. That's
again?
all that they could get. There were not enough military vehicles
All
in
right.
2004 at this point. At 2004, we didn't
And
have
so
enough
you're
vehicles.
driving through
A
a
Ford
fucking
Ranger
war
that was
zone in a
leased.
Ford
It
Ranger.
was leased from a local. Leased from a local.
Okay. So
we're driving that shit, you know what I mean? And you can't wear your body armor at that point. You can't wear your helmet because the roofs are too low. The body armor's too big. You can't wear the seatbelt because they don't have seatbelts. It's a different country. You know what I mean? And so I got into a really bad accident one day doing that shit because I was supposed to drive. I had been specially trained. I had special training. Like I can drive like in the action movies where you run people off the road and shit. I'd had that training. And so he was like, I'm going to drive. Bones, let me drive. And I'm like, sir, I'm supposed to drive. And he's like, I outrank you. I'm driving. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
You know what?
Hey, what are you gonna do?
Yep. So he's like, we're getting ready to leave the city. And he goes, oh my God, Bones, look at this kid. He's trying to drive a motorcycle. And it's like a 5-year-old trying to drive a motorcycle. Well, I black out at that point.
that's the last thing
That's
you're
the last
saying
thing that I
you
remember. And so then I come to and they pulled me out of the truck and everything. And they're like, can you see me? Are you okay? And I was like, what the fuck happened? Well, the guy driving wasn't paying attention. And he had hit the vehicle in front of us that had stopped.
because he was paying attention to this kid.
Yeah.
All
How
right.
fast was he going when he rear-ended him?
So it's just a car accident. It wasn't.
It was just a regular car accident through negligence. We were probably going about 45, 50 miles an hour.
That's a good hit.
Yeah.
I bet that car went at least 40, 50 yards.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But both vehicles were totaled. And I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And so I was pretty hurt.
Fucking.
And so it's probably 2005 at this point. And I don't really remember a whole lot during that time, but it was before they really understood head injuries. And so they gave me morphine. And they gave me morphine. And they gave me morphine.
Are you in like the Veterans Administration?
No, I'm
at
still in
this point? You're
Afghanistan.
still
I did
serving.
not go home early.
Okay.
I was injured, but they didn't understand head injuries.
So you're serving.
I'm still serving.
You're
still
on
doing the
post,
job that
doing
I'm
the
supposed
job,
to do.
and they're giving you now morphine.
Yes.
Okay.
And eventually they quit giving me morphine because we're at a forward operating base. We don't have a hospital. It's just some dudes in tents.
Like
you know
a
what I mean?
clinic at best.
I'm
what
at a
we would
clinic
think of
at
as a
best.
clinic. Okay.
And so eventually
And if you were to get seriously injured,
you would
then
get
you
sent
would
to
get
the
sent
Germans.
somewhere else.
No, you stay in country, but they send you to the Germans or one of our coalition forces because they had the hospitals.
Okay.
So they eventually couldn't give me more morphine because they needed it for other things. And so they put me on something like OxyContin. I don't remember exactly what they put me on, but I was hooked at that point. You know what I mean? And I was high.
While you're
really high.
serving
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
following orders
Yep.
at this point,
Yep.
and there's no real problem.
No, they're like, nope.
Okay.
Because I'm still in pain. I was in a fucking car
Sure.
accident. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And so the worst thing that happened, you would think, oh, that's the worst thing. No. So we didn't get days off. Like it was, you were always doing something unless you were on leave. Well, they started recognizing that the stress was building. And so they'd give you what's called a light duty day. And that meant you didn't have to wear your uniform. You got to wear the issue shirt and t-shirt and shorts, and you had to like check in and see if they needed you for anything, but like you could like kind of stay
Kinda
around,
slack
like,
off a
hang out.
little
Yeah, you
bit.
got to slack off. So it was my light duty day, and they came to my tent where I was.
Almost
and-
like being on call. If you were
Yes, I was on
for a
call.
job.
Absolutely. And so they came and found me. They're like, "Hey, you got to get your shit on. We need you to go out on this mission." And I was like, "Man, like I really need this day because like I hadn't had one in over a month." And so like I start dragging my feet because I'm trying to take my time because I need a minute, man, you know. And so like I go and I get all my shit on and I go report in, and they're like, "Man, don't worry about it. You took too fucking long. We got somebody else." I was like, "Fucking sweet. I'm going back to the fucking tent. I'm gonna drink me a Mountain Dew, you know." And so I went to go make a phone call or something like that a few hours later. It was like 3 or 4 hours later. There was like this tent that had the phones in it, and you had to like sign some shit like, "Hey, I'm gonna make a morale call home," or whatever. And I go in, and they're like, "You can't make a phone call," like it, and it was empty. And I was like, "Why?" They're like, "No calls going out right now." And I was like, "Well, that's fucking weird. That's never happened." So I went to the internet cafe, and they're like, "You can't get on a computer right now.
And so are you feeling like this is
This is
you,
weird.
and it's because it's you, or
No.
because everybody's like,
No one's allowed to
we're
do
on
this."
lockdown?
I think we're
essentially?
about to
Something
get a
happened.
climax.
Okay.
here.
Something happened. Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
so,
what I was thinking. Something's
Yeah.
going down.
Well, I'm also thinking because okay, never mind.
So
Keep going.
like
Oh, because he drug his
The
feet. He lost
foreshadowing,
his
yeah,
he
yeah.
lost his right.
Like that,
to
I
do
was
these
wondering
things.
if we were foreshadowing that he's in trouble for having done that.
no.
No.
Okay.
So
yeah, I figure we were going. Yeah.
I worked in a special building called the TOC. It's the Troop Operations Center, and it's where like the general commanding of Afghanistan was. And so I'd have a special security clearance to get in and shit like that because I worked next to the general that was commanding. And so I go into the office, and like everyone's like running around like crazy. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Hey, they won't let me make a phone call and the internet's out." They're like, "Yep, it sure is." They're like, "Since you're in here, you can't leave." And I was like, "Okay." So I like sat at my desk and I started filling out a spreadsheet because, you know, that was what I did sometimes. And I'm sitting there, and there's like people running around, and some of the women in the office next to us they're crying. And I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Oh
And
shit.
so like the guy who's in charge of me was just like, "You have no idea how fucking lucky you are.
The people that left that you
They all
missed the
died.
fucking did.
They all died."
Ooh.
Damn.
Yeah. And so I struggled with that for a long time.
I can imagine, man.
How many? Do you know,
because
recall?
There was 4 of them.
It's almost like some Final Destination.
Was it,
shit where you
was
were
it
supposed to be on that
was it a
one and you
mine
weren't
that
on
got
it
him
now?
like on the side of the road?
So what happened was they had repurposed an old Russian tank mine.
Mhm.
They'd stacked 2 of them on top of each other. And they'd already been to this area before, so they didn't expect it. It had already been checked out. And they just happened to be there at the wrong time. And what they did was they would hook them up to cell phones and then call the cell phone, and it'd blow up.
Yep.
And so
Shit.
they had to recover their shit, and I had to go through it.
Shit.
I tell you what, 4 people's equipment fitting in a small box fucks with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was probably the worst day I had over there, was having to like narrowly miss that shit
Yeah.
and then go
And
through
then
their
go
fucking
clean
shit and be
up
like,
and
"Yeah, this stuff doesn't
figure
work
out what's what."
anymore."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? "You can't reissue this. Ha 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 ha." And so, right? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So like, you know, I'm just kind of checked out at that point, you know what I mean? And eventually make it home. It was like early September of 2004 when I finally made it home. But it was a surreal experience that I'm thankful for it, but I don't want to fucking do it again.
So when you came home, was it like now you're not on
Yeah.
active and had
I had to go find a job.
You're a civilian again, and
civilian
you're no
again.
longer owned by the military
Right.
or the
so
United
no
States
National
government.
Guard beyond
I'm still in the
that?
guard, but they had to not make me report in for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for a job at that point and like, you know, bumming around on the couch and shit. fucking hooked on fucking pain pills and shit
Is
because
this in Columbus?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so
So you've come back now out of the military
yeah,
with a drug habit.
yeah,
And are you now through them still getting
yes.
the Oxycontin at this
Yeah,
point?
and they had
as well?
downgraded it to Vicodin at that point, but it was Vicodin 10s.
Okay.
So it was the strongest Vicodin they could give you. And I had started having some issues dealing with the things that I experienced in Afghanistan because, like, there was a lot of traumatic shit, obviously, that I'm not talking about.
Yeah,
you know, what I mean?
I'm sure I know exactly. I have friends that served over there in
Yeah.
Afghanistan, and there
So-
are stories that I would never ever tell on any of my podcasts.
Yep. So I will just say that I have a very special award that is difficult to get, and it's called a Combat Action Badge.
Mm.
There are two of these awards. There's one for infantry, and it's called Combat Infantry Badge. And those are the guys that fought like with guns and shot people and got shot at.
Yeah.
I have the Combat Action Badge, which is for non-infantry. Been there, done that shit, like literally firefights and shit. So I have done that. And
Yeah.
so I was awarded that. And in fact, if you look at one of the vests that I wear out, so like the medal and shit, I wear that
Oh yeah.
because I'm proud of it.
Hey, you
know
should
what
be.
I'm saying?
Amen.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so I was struggling with a lot of that stuff because you have to do some shit that you don't expect that you're ever gonna fucking do,
Hmm.
you know. And so like they're getting ready to deploy me to Iraq, and I'm like, let's fucking go.
From now you've been
It's been a
home
couple
from
years. Yeah,
Afghanistan.
I've already so it's
and
like 2008
so
at
you're
this
National
point.
Guard,
Still National Guard.
serving that.
Yep.
And now they're like, it's Iraq time.
Yes.
And you're like, let's fucking go.
I'm like, let's go. I'm not leaving my homeboys here. I'm not leaving them to get fucked up. I've been
Yeah.
there. I've got the experience. I've got rank. Like, I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Hell yeah.
And so, like, you have to get a medical eval, and they're like, you have no
Something's
idea
wrong
what
with
I'm saying, do you? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. Like, I couldn't pay attention and I couldn't hear them. I'm sure you both noticed that I'm wearing hearing aids right now.
Hmm.
So I am legally deaf,
Okay.
which is ironic that I'm in a band.
Yeah.
Can't hear, you know what I'm saying?
Like
But
Beethoven.
you're right. Yeah. So it is like that. And so just on the hearing alone and the fact that I can't pay attention because I have post-traumatic stress disorder and it's completely undiagnosed. And all I can think about is bad shit. And
Yeah.
so they're like, you're done, man. You can't even serve anymore.
Damn.
So I got a medical discharge in 2008. And, you know, my friends went overseas and shit. And so like, I'm still hooked on the pain pills at this point. You know what I mean? Because I was in a car accident. I got hurt.
Can I ask also?
Yeah.
The hearing,
Hmm.
was this right now in this moment? Because you said you have hearing aids now, but did you get them right then to be
No.
so you're also probably struggling
Yes.
on
to
that
understand.
level,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Just to say,
Right.
and go ahead with where
So I eventually get hooked up with the VA up here in Indianapolis. And, you know, at the time they were like, just keep feeding them the pain meds because that's the easiest thing to do. They're not trying to like diagnose any shit. You know, and after doing that for a year, they're like, the VA was like, oh, we prescribe a lot of pain meds. Maybe we should stop doing that. So they stopped me cold turkey at this point. And it's like 2009 or so.
and so this is after basically 5
Being
years.
on 5 years of being on opiates
Okay.
issued by the government. Yeah, absolutely.
And most of that being like these strong Vicodins at this
Yes.
point.
And Oxycontin
Okay.
and fucking morphine. You know what I mean? So like, so then I started looking for alternatives, and the cheapest alternative I found was heroin.
And you're in Columbus at
Yeah.
this point still, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't know for sure. Like,
Yeah, I stayed in Columbus
so-
most of the time, and I'm homeless at this point too. That's the other thing. Like
so
I'm
couch surfing homeless or like
sleeping in my
in
car
out-
homeless.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I hadn't been able to work because I mean I actually have PTSD pretty bad. It's not bad these days. It's there's like 4th of July. I put headphones on and
All
I
right.
go chill in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Like there are certain things that I tried to avoid. But so you know, 2009, I switched over to heroin because it was cheaper than buying OxyContin.
Yeah.
Ironically enough.
Hmm.
And it got to the point to where like I have like permanent marks in my right arm, which is part of the reason why this tattoo goes up as high as it does. Like you
Mhm.
can see right here, there's still a little bit of a scar from because that was my vein of choice.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a while, and I just felt like a huge piece of shit. It's like I've got 2 kids at this point. Um, my wife and I are separated because I was still married, and homeless, sleeping in a car, not making any money.
Family support system
Yeah,
not existent at this
non-existent,
point.
really. Yeah.
Okay.
Mom had offered to let me stay with her, sleep on her couch, but I'm not trying
But
to
your
bring.
situation wasn't
Yeah, I'm not trying to
indicative to
bring
wanting to
that
be
into
there.
her life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had slept at a church in Columbus and woke up the next day and was like trying to figure out how I was going to get more. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like,
Was
I
it
mean,
the fiending
yeah,
that
it
you
it
didn't
literally
you
felt like there was a monkey
specifically?
on my back.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I haven't seen my kids in I don't know how long. Um, I feel like shit. I look like shit. And so I don't even remember who I went to. I think I may have eventually went to my mom and my sister, Becca.
Did they know you had
My sister
the
did.
heroin?
Yeah, my sister did
Okay.
because she could tell. And she's like, let's go smoke some weed and see where that goes from there, you know? So I started smoking weed, and that really helped deal with a lot of the pain and all the other shit, you know, because if you've ever smoked weed, you know, man, like it's a good
I have
fucking time.
never in my
would
life,
never.
Nick
I-
Bones, touched marijuana
I
cigarettes.
tried it.
Yeah.
I tried it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do one whole marijuanas?
I mean, there was a couple of months where I was actually, I mean, just really in the gutter with it and
Oh, okay.
doing it a lot. So
Yeah. I started smoking a lot of weed, like hella weed. And that made it much easier. It honestly was easier to quit heroin than it was tobacco.
okay. So to interject a little personal to
Sure.
where I can relate, it's like for me, I remember I had an apartment with a guy. I don't want to really say anybody's names or anything, but had an apartment with a buddy, and he introduced another guy that was a crack dealer, and he was like,
Oh,
"Oh, you know, he's
fuck.
going to come over and hang out, and I'm sure he'll be like sharing crack and whatnot." And I'm like, "Okay, you know, whatever." And up until that point, I mean, my experience with like coke or meth was here. I had those things or whatever, but crack, I don't know, it's like it grabs you
Yeah.
and immediately so the whole thing, this guy would come over with some of that shit and then be like, sell me some, because like you're chasing. As soon as you take the first hit of that shit, you're chasing what that hit felt like,
For
and it's
eternity.
gross.
Yep.
I mean, it is gross.
Yep. That's what
And
heroin is
so I
too.
like within probably about 2 or 3 months of living this life where it was just like as much as I could and whatnot. And so one night I had like spent a portion of my rent money, and I'm laying there trying to like come down after like just and out of the shit, fiending for more, thinking, fuck it, I'll just go spend like this much more and I'll figure it out. And like in that moment, I'm just like, fuck this. Like you cannot, it's so bad. And luckily, I mean, man, I've honestly, like, when it comes to pot, it's since I was probably 16 or 17, just been the thing, more so than alcohol, even,
Mhm.
but yeah, so I've been there where it comes to that moment, and it was for me the fiending for more specifically, where it was like, I want this shit so fucking bad right now that I'm wanting to make really bad fucking choices to get, and like, what in the hell am I
Right.
doing? Yeah. So after that, there was no more crack, man. But anyway, not to take away. So
Hey,
you're coming off heroin.
I-
Your sister's
I want
getting
to
you
take
on the weed.
a moment to like kind of touch a little bit on everything you said over the last few minutes, man. So we've got hearing aids,
Mm-hmm.
PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a drug, a heavy, by the way,
Yeah.
opiate drug addiction. And I just wanted to kind of sum all that up and just remind people this is why it is important that we have these programs in place for our veterans
Yep.
and those that serve. And I just want to say now, and just while I've kind of got the attention, thank you for your service, man. I mean, seriously, dude. I just had a conversation the other day, and I want to say I feel guilty, but I made a choice. And I was a senior in high school when 9/11 happened. And, I'm getting ready to go off into the world. And I had three choices: go to college, go to war, manage a Domino's pizza store. And before 9/11, I wanted to manage a pizza store.
Fuck yeah.
And that's what I ended up doing. But, I always kind of look back at those times. And before 9/11, I'd already taken the test. I'd already talked to recruiters before they started showing up all over my high school. And yeah, man, it doesn't matter what you do in the military. If you're an accountant, your arms, whatever it is that you do, it's just we would not have what we have today if it wasn't for the people that have served over the last,
My
from-
thing of it is that I want to because we live in a country, luckily, and I was watching something recently that had the draft in play.
Mhm.
And we're at war and people are being drafted, guys are being they have no fucking choice. You've been reported to the draft. And so that much more of when I see shit like that and think about that and think about how lucky you were to be able to choose pizza
Yep.
and I was to choose weed. Right.
Right.
Because people are volunteering for those jobs. And thus far we've had enough motherfuckers like you, thank you, that the rest of us don't have to
Right.
fucking go,
Yeah.
and so, and especially when people, I think from different walks of life, and, we definitely come to a place where it's like sometimes we're walking a little bit in both lanes because we see people who, are very anti-military and
Mm.
That's
and then
fair.
people that are very pro-military, and especially when you add just your work life. So it's not
Sure.
just the fucking punks, it's not just the PRN people or whatever. It you deal with a lot more than that in your actual day-to-day life.
Right.
And I'll have veterans come in at my job to get banners made and to for just certain different things that bring it up. And I don't know. I think people don't realize sometimes how lucky they are
Mhm.
to be able to even be like, oh, I fucking hate this or that, and fuck these or that fucking groups and blah, blah, blah. And it's it's because people are volunteering
Yeah.
and taking that fucking weight off my shoulders that I can sit here and do shit and have been. Obviously now I'm, probably not military grade, bro. But back in the day, I had no pressure on me to be like, you have to report.
Right.
And that's because people and you were anti-authority and fucking
Yeah.
all the shit that I was.
Yeah.
But you still sucked it up and fucking did it.
Mhm.
And I don't even know that I would have had the resolve, man. I think as soon as I got there and they started yelling at me, I would be like, gotta find a way out of here,
Yeah. There were a lot of people that did that.
Mhm.
There were a lot of them that did that purposefully got kicked out.
Yeah.
And it was a different time.
And mind you, like when I chose to take Domino's, not go the military road, I signed up for the draft the day it came in the mail, filled it out, sent it out.
I mean, we still had to sign
Yeah.
up for the
Yeah.
draft, but it's
and
never
mentally, I was prepared. Okay, it's 2059 in the future, obviously, unless I missed something and I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. Because that's how sleeping works, I guess. Anyways, but 25 years from now, it's 2059, and China has dropped 350,000 of their troops, which is nothing, by the way, onto American soil, and now your neighbors are all, we have, tanks moving into towns, cities. Man, pull back. Here we are in 2024. At any time, at any age, if I am called upon to protect my neighbors and my community, I'm in. I'm down.
Absolutely.
I will 100% go to war and protect my country.
And you know, there's going to have to be somebody that entertains the troops, and that's going to be me.
Hell yeah. Playing a violin.
Right.
But either way, so much respect for what you do, man.
I appreciate that, man.
And a lot of the things you're talking about it's super important to remember that these programs that are in place for our veterans are super duper important.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can have ears now. You as you were saying, you were getting ready to go into a little. Actually, where were you on that? You were saying that you're done with this. I'm not doing heroin anymore. From there,
how did we get? And part of it is because I feel like you're so interesting, and your story is so and you're an excellent storyteller too, and I appreciate that about you.
Thanks.
But we've got about 25 more minutes.
Oh,
and isn't that
yeah.
fucking wild?
Yeah.
That's wild.
See, and now I just want you to remember,
This went by so fast.
Yeah.
And I remember telling her, she was like 2 fucking hours, and I'm like, watch, it's gonna go by so fast.
people don't
And so
understand
there's a
until
couple of
you're on the
things I
couch.
want to make sure we hit on.
Okay.
But get me as quickly as you can from quitting doing heroin to joining Ninth Circle Symphony.
Super quick.
He joined Ninth Circle.
Therapy from the VA got me through a lot of that shit, and
Hell
it
yeah.
was some in-depth shit. Going to college and graduating, so I actually have a history degree.
Where'd you go?
I went to IU.
Right on.
I have a degree from IU, and it's in American history. And
Nice.
I learned a lot of shit along the way with that.
Now, was that also because you were in the military? Was there do they pay for your college?
Yes, they paid for my college.
So that's
which was the original goal
yes,
of going
right.
to the military.
Fuck yeah.
It eventually pays off, right?
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So I graduated from that. Started working, couldn't, because the car accident screwed my back and knees and hips and everything else up. So eventually, like, I can't even do that. Like, I can't enter the normal workforce. And so, like, marriage falls apart because just graduated, quit doing all these drugs. Like, what do I do with myself now? Become a stay-at-home dad. It wasn't working or whatever. And so marriage falls apart, living on my own. COVID hits, and I see this advertisement for this crazy post-apocalypse band called Ninth Circle Symphony. And it's at the Mill, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of not doing anything. I'm tired of just.
Were you still playing guitar in the background through all of this?
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't like you had set down playing. You just weren't really doing it actively out.
Well, I was in a band before I joined Ninth Circle Symphony, but we didn't play live. They only wanted to record albums, and I'm like, that's fucking boring.
What was that band called?
They were in it for the money.
It was called, yes, they were in it for the money.
That 100%. That's what I heard.
They might still be on Dave Mustaine's label, but they're called Asylum.
Okay.
And
I've heard of Asylum.
Okay. It's like a new metal, sort of. Like, we played in Drop C, which is kind of a weird tuning, but it was there was one guy that wrote all the music.
How long were you in that band?
A little over a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so were you still currently in that band? when you see Ninth Circle,
Yes.
and so you see Ninth Circle.
And I'm like,
how
there's
long
a
is it
better
from
way.
the time you first see them to the time now that you're joining the band? How did you?
A little over a year,
and
year and a half ish, something like that.
now, had you actually before getting into the band been like playing it? Like, was it that big of a fandom where you already kind of knew some of their songs?
No.
Or
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't sit down and try to play their stuff because I play by ear. I can read notes and I know notes now. Thanks, Maria. I fucking appreciate you.
Hell yeah.
What's
up, Maria?
Yeah. So like I'd left Asylum like in May of 2001 and then joined Ninth Circle Symphony in early October of 2001.
Okay.
And so
And was that just answering like they had
yeah,
put
they
it
put
out?
out a thing on Facebook that
You mean 2021?
yeah. What did I
Okay.
say?
You said 2001.
Yeah, 2020.
I was like,
Same thing.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Right?
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all
Thanks
good. I
for
appreciate
clearing that
Yeah,
up for us, Playboy.
clarification. So
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
my brain went.
We had thought maybe it was
Wait.
back in 20.
Were you in the
2001.
cadavers? Because that's about that time,
but
man.
I knew who the Cadavers fucking were, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
they were playing shit when I was younger and into that shit. But so they put out a request. They're like, we might not be able to do this album unless we get a guitarist in here that can do this shit. And I was like, well, I'm a super big fucking nerd. I love post-apocalypse. I like Ninth Circle Symphony. I play guitar. I've got some really nice equipment because I had that orange cab. I still have it. I just don't play on it anymore. But
How much you want for it?
$3,000
For an orange cab?
Well, it's a cab and head.
Oh, never mind. I got a head
Oh.
of myself.
Oh.
Woo,
So,
Bob, that
yeah.
was
I signed up for an audition, and there were two other guitarists that had said that they were interested, and they were supposed to show up the same day as me. And I was just like, oh, man. So like, it was Chris or Kurt. I don't remember who I talked to, but they sent me some music, and they were like, learn this, and it was like 5 songs. And I shit you not, for like 2 weeks straight, I sat there and listened and learned every goddamn song.
Like
not
fucking
just,
wrote
not just the 5 from the assignment, or
No, 5 from the assignment.
Okay.
Because that's what they wanted me to start out with. And so I did that, and I showed up to the audition, and Chris, it was at his house, like, because that's where we practiced.
the
drummer, Chris, our drummer.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you showed up. And I was like, I confirmed with you like yesterday. Of course I did. And he's like, I don't know that anyone else is coming. And I was like,
from the band.
And I was like, what? And so like he calls them, gets them on the horn. And they're like, he showed up. Because I guess
He's
the
in.
other guys had canceled.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
He showed
So
up.
like I'm talking to Chris and we're like hanging out. And then, eventually everybody else shows up. And Drew's like, so what songs do you know? And I was like, well, I know Brick Fight and Cinders and Glad You're Dead. And I forget what the other one was. And he was like, oh, okay, well, let's play Brick Fight. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's play Brick Fight. And so we played it. And he goes, holy shit, that's a song. And so he's like, what do you want to do next? I think it was like Doves on Barbed Wire or something. And so like we did that. I was like, that one's my favorite. And he's like, oh shit, this guy learned our music.
Yeah.
And so like I showed up. I was willing to wear the costume. You know what I mean? And I could play the fucking song.
You look like you were born to wear it, by the way.
right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you, like legit. The first time you played with the band, I was like, dude,
That's
like you
fucking what Rich
belong
said, too,
in
yeah.
that band, man.
Yeah,
like
Rich and Greg were both like, duh.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like a match made in heaven. You look great up there, man. It's
appreciate
like you belong in the band.
I feel that way too. And they've been really great about making me feel welcome. Because like I will joke around with them and be like, when you guys kick me out of the band, I'm gonna show up to a show with my acoustic guitar and be like, I used to be in that band and like play around with them and shit.
Hell yeah.
But no, they're great. They're really I feel fortunate to be in Ninth Circle.
Drew
Symphony.
seems like he would be hard to work with, but no.
Actually he is
What? You don't even know Drew then.
Drew's
I
the
know, he's
easiest
just
person.
such a
Oh,
shithead, man.
Kurt's probably the easiest person to
No,
work
I'm
with
just
in the band.
playing.
And then,
Drew out in the world though puts on
of course.
a fucking asshole show,
Of course.
and I love it.
He
Like,
has to.
It's great.
and-
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, I can be a bit of a beehole myself.
I've heard that. But
One
I've
of my
yet to
favorite
see it.
things, if somebody like puts on a good show or
Shit,
something, I feel like they should know it.
Sure.
Like they come off the stage, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll get them next time. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
So I see you guys
So-
are playing with the bricks there.
Oh yeah, I brought it out.
Yeah. So we just ordered those from the factory.
You got a gift.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
I already put the sticker you gave me on the computer.
That's the
Yeah.
bar. So everybody from now on has to bring us gifts that are at least as
Yeah.
cool as this fucking brick.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, like a
It
strip of
sets
acid.
the bar super hot.
Right. Right.
We can
Fucking-
wrap up.
Yeah. So those are from a factory. They're not handmade. And we'll be selling those at shows.
It's
What
fucking
an
dope, dude.
awesome.
Yeah, I love. They're stress relievers. You
Oh,
can
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
yeah,
drop 'em,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
yeah, you can like squeeze on them for a bit,
It's
get
fun,
some of
right?
that stress out and shit. But like we've got some. Cool
He's got
shit
a
now,
lot more
like-
stress than I do.
Oh, I
feel
bet.
like.
Whatever.
He needs it.
I'm living stress free over here.
Yeah. Right? Fucking, so we've got like new stickers. We've got this awesome new banner that we have put up at shows and shit too.
How big
So,
did you
like,
go?
Oh, it's like 64 by 64. It's fucking huge.
Nice.
Like we've had to cut it down because it's so big.
So
Yeah.
it's 5 by 5.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5
it's
foot by 5
huge.
foot. At
Well,
least in
not
my
e-
math is
Not
stress.
exactly, but
Right?
you know,
Yeah.
close enough.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So
Sure.
you've been in Ninth Circle now. You said in 2021 you
Yeah.
joined. So 3 years.
Coming up pretty quick.
And
right? Your anniversary.
what is your greatest moment so far? Now I know we're getting ready to play a show together with Sex Blanket
Which I'm
and
fucking excited
That's
about.
at the
at
Long Shot, right?
where they
Yeah,
give us
Long
free
Shot.
hams all fucking night. That's fucking. I love playing at Long Shot,
too.
bro. But so that will probably be the best moment you have. with
course.
Ninth Circle.
By the way, that show, I planted the seeds for that a long time ago because
Mm.
I told Stouch, I was like, we need to play a show
For
together.
sure.
And he was like,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so like we'd been trying to get something together for a while. And I pitched this idea of doing something around Valentine's Day
yeah,
and
yeah.
calling it something like the Valentine's Day Massacre. Or
Fuck
something.
your Valentine's show?
Fuck your Valentine is way better than what I had said.
The double entendre,
Yes.
entendre that I didn't think of when I first saw it. I was just like, fuck your Valentine. It's kind of like fuck your, like
Yeah.
fuck off with your
Right,
Valentine
right.
shit.
It
But
also
then
means,
people started like, hey, so I'm gonna fuck my Valentine
Right.
and blah blah. I don't know, man. I thought it was like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
fucking cool
immediately
as fuck.
dived right into it.
It's better than
as soon
fucking
as it was
Valentine's
announced.
Day Massacre.
Yeah.
Like,
I couldn't decide whether I should fuck my Valentine there or if I say fuck my Valentine and not
do
bring
both.
her.
Yeah.
Do both.
Yeah,
Do
and make
Which, by the way, ladies, I don't have Valentine.
make them
both.
pay for the hands.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you could pay for the hams,
Yeah.
while I was seeing I don't drink it. I mean,
So I
fuck it.
saw a thing today. Well, we've got a second. I like to throw out topical things that maybe just, and so I had started seeing Ashley and I watch TikToks for about at least 20 minutes almost every morning.
Okay.
And they're just little, like, it's about as close as I come to watching fucking news.
Okay.
And because the algorithms kind of start pointing at shit, so as you do kind of like hone in on some shit, it knows what you fucking want. So here lately I started hearing about these pick me boys, and I had
What?
never pick me boys.
Pick.
Yeah, pick me.
I don't.
Okay.
No,
Never heard of this.
no pick me boys,
No. I
no
don't know
pick
what
me
that
girls.
is.
Never heard of it.
No.
All right, so you like on TikTok, it's like a buzzword right fucking now.
Okay.
Promise. Within at least I should say, let's be real. Whose algorithm is it?
Ashley's.
It's Ashley's algorithm. But
Yours is
But-
just pictures of frogs and
so I start
trees.
hearing pick me boy, and whatnot. And so I'm like, I don't really know what it means, babe. Like, show me, what is this? And so go down this rabbit hole of like pick me boys and pick me girls, and they're different. So like the pick me girl is the one that's like, oh, I'm playing video games with the bros, and I'm like not like the rest of the girls kind of thing.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And so then when other girls come into the situation, they're like, oh, don't worry about me. We're like brother and sister. And oh, it's cool that you like do your makeup like that. I don't do that. And I really respect that. Like you put 2 hours into your makeup every day and, just this kind of thing. And then guys, the pick me boys are like, very, oh, well, I'm really glad you decided to go out with me, even though like you probably think I'm really ugly, right?
I thought maybe you were going to
And
say they wear sunglasses inside,
know,
and they also wear leggings or jeggings or whatever they're called. What are they called?
Hey, don't hate on those pants.
I
Those
know.
are fucking fabulous.
I was
Kidding
hey,
me?
I was there at the beginning when he first started wearing them, and he's like, "What do you
pick me.
think?" I'm like, "Do you, baby?" Like
Right.
everybody should be able and allowed to express themselves as they see
Fuck
fit.
yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You know,
Do you got
but
a
we
problem
gotta
with my
have
glasses?
no. We gotta have a society here, though. Like don't go crazy, shit. Being you,
Okay, try.
we're at already like maximum capacity.
All right, man.
Like if you're like,
That's
I've
a
been holding
word.
it back and now I'm really ready to wild out, like fucking look out world.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, pick me boys, pick me girls. If you ain't, like I'm telling you, you're gonna start hearing it now. You're gonna be like fucking
What? I still don't
that
really.
beehole.
The way you explained it, I'm not really sure what a pick me girl and a pick me boy is.
well,
but
watch. It's gonna be the next like
I'll get on TikTok
gaslighting
as soon as this.
narcissist.
Okay.
This is that
super.
line. Like now we've moved
Super.
on. Like, we're all cool with narcissists, not cool with it, but we all
Right.
fucking, know that that's just lexicon now. We're going to always be, but yeah. Don't be a pick me boy.
All right.
Cool. I'm going to keep being me.
So, did you guys?
I mean, you can be a pick me if that is you. I don't
Nope.
mean to,
Nope. I am thankful for the lady I'm in a relationship with because she's a fucking adult and like has her own shit going on, and she's not like these other people running around trying to play games and like take care of me and da 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 da. Like,
shine it up, man.
uh,
Talk about her.
Chris is fucking awesome, man. Like, we just kind of bumped into each other and like hit it off. Like, she's an adult, she's got a job. It's ironic because she lives up in Fountain Square, but she works like 5 minutes from my house down in Columbus.
Huh.
Oh,
So
nice.
it worked out really,
Yeah.
really well because like I'm up here on the weekends and she's down there during.
Now,
the
do you
week.
ever consider moving out of Columbus?
Yeah. So my son is going away to college in a year and a half. He's going to go to IUB. And so I was like, I'm the fuck out of Columbus because he's my youngest.
So that's kind of the anchor in
Yeah.
Columbus right now.
Yeah, my
Gotcha.
son. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
So the plan is to move up here to Indianapolis because I'm fucking up here all the time. And like, I'm sick and tired of driving on 65 like it's the fucking Mad Max and
I made the drive.
Thunderdome shit,
I
man.
actually worked out in Columbus for a year and a half.
Do you know?
I know. Yeah.
Fuck 65.
Yeah. I remember trying to hire people in Columbus.
Huh.
Yeah.
So before we run out of time,
Yeah, Chris is
because
awesome.
I feel, and you know what, it's so crazy because there were like 3-4 other things that I
right?
like had really intended on getting to with you.
Is Chris's leg still broken?
No, she doesn't need a crutch or anything to walk with.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The last time I saw Chris, it was so long ago. I'm pretty sure she was still.
She's probably in a wheelchair last time you saw her.
I don't think so. I think she's on crutches. But
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
She doesn't need crutches
In a
or anything
boot.
now.
Did she have a boot at
No.
one point?
I still can't
No?
believe Nick hit her with his car. It's so rude.
I did not.
Oh, that's right. There's two
I'm
Nicks.
a good
There's two
driver.
Nicks. Shit.
I'm a good driver.
I meant lazy boy.
Oh, this Nick.
I didn't. What?
This Nick, that Nick.
Whatever.
I don't even know. Like, I ain't hit anybody in fucking a while, bro. All right, so let's get to next weekend's shows real quick. Run through that, then we'll take a look at time and try to. But I want to make sure we get everybody pointed in what the fuck is going on.
With our show at
All right.
Long Shot. That's the
That's
most
actually
important
on Thursday, right?
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Our show
bro.
is on Friday.
Yeah,
Show
the
is on
16th.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's the Fuck
Yes.
Your Valentine show at Long Shot.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
DUI and Dylan Salazar.
Dylan Salazar.
Love you, Dylan.
I love him.
Really lovely and
I
just
played
a
a show with him
great
before.
guy.
Yeah,
He's a
great
good dude.
human.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
I like him.
the rest of the band.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Dylan-
Shit.
Damn.
Throwing hate.
They're all right. But Dylan, he's a gem. What a we played a show once and it was at a music store up, I want to say in Noblesville. I could be wrong. And it was on a day where we happened to end up playing 2 shows. Do you remember this show?
Yeah, man. That was
And
at
they put like, and it was a live stream of it. And it was like,
Center
I
stage.
think we were
Center
tight like a
stage.
tiger at this point. Maybe it was still Fiber.
I
don't
fucking
fucking
know. It was my birthday. That's all
But-
I remember.
It was, let's say tight like a tiger, featuring Shipwreck Shet on this live
Yeah.
stream.
No, it
thing.
said Bullshit.
Like,
It said Bullshit.
I think it said Shipwreck Shet. Either way,
Yeah.
our band featuring this motherfucker.
Woo!
All right. Anyway, I don't. What got us into
That was a
that?
fun. That was fun.
Talking about what's going on this weekend.
Yeah.
There's
Next weekend.
there's a really good show on Saturday at the Mill that I will be at
Yeah.
for sure.
Is that the Village Elder
Yeah.
run up?
Yeah.
Tomcat.
Yeah.
The run up's doing their vinyl release.
Cassette
That's
strap.
right. That's right. So Tuesday we have Nick Winky coming on for the Mile High Club. That's at 7, and then Wednesday we have the run up coming on at 7 for the first midweek crisis back.
At one point, Nick and I traded T-shirts, and so I've got a duck shirt, which was what Village.
You know what? I
Elder
just
was
realized
before.
we need to have a band of all Nicks. That would be amazing.
Can it be the band be called Nick of Time?
I wouldn't. I don't hate that.
Are you?
That
Hey,
is
are
not
you in the nick of
worst
time? Get it?
thing
It's not the worst idea
ever.
I've ever heard.
All right, and now like there was a point where it was just Nick and I talking, and we were going to be 2 Nick.
Well,
But I think Nick
just
of
saying.
Time
Oh,
that's pretty good
with
too.
another
God.
Nick,
Yeah.
pretty good too.
but that motherfucker moved away, so
Shit.
Yeah.
we ain't starting a band with him.
Merlin.
Me and you will find another Nick.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Nick Winky. He can join the Mile High Club though, and we'll see him on Saturday night at PRN.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually do really like him. He's one of
Nick is
he's a
great. Yeah.
fun fucking dude. All right, so
Great
then
writer,
we
too.
play at the Fuck Your Valentine on. See, I've got Thursday. You guys are saying Friday. I don't
Absolutely, it's
fucking know.
Friday.
I'll check with Dennis. I'll get back to
Ninth
you. Just
Circle
shoot me the
Symphony,
day. But
Republican
sure.
Sex Blanket, DUI, Dylan Salazar. Yeah, come out to that one for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And throw bricks and
Get some blood on ya.
fucking splattered on you. This one on the 17th, babe. I don't think you wrote down where it's at. I've got Chorin, Dead Humor, Tiger Sharks, and Lost City Dreams.
That's State Street.
State
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice. And then on Valentine's Day itself, this Valentine's Day Sweetheart Dance, Brandon Sanders and Friends, and DJ Christian. Is that at the Mel? All right. So that's at the Mel on Valentine's Day. Brandon Sanders.
You said Sweet Valentine,
Sweethearts.
Sweetheart Dance.
Sweetheart Dance. Way
So
different
bring
than
your
fuck
sweetheart.
your
If you don't have a sweet
fuck your
now,
Valentine.
you got a sweetheart,
I do.
and clearly I've got a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see each
Yeah,
other there,
maybe.
man.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanders, you know,
What's up, Brandon?
He's a friend.
Where's that podcast? What's up?
that?
Come on now. I want to be on a podcast.
You know Brandon?
I don't know.
He plays in The Operators. Is probably like his
That's
main
cool.
claim to
Mhm.
fame right now.
We might be Facebook.
We go
friends.
we go back to kid shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Bannon.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got notes for as far as shows. So, how much time we got left?
It's yeah.
We got 2 minutes. Nick,
We have 6 minutes.
the most important thing in your life right now, besides like saying kids and your relationship or whatever, what is the thing that's driving you the fucking hardest right now?
That would be my involvement with the Satanic Temple of Indiana. I'm actually getting ready to become one of the co-congregation heads, which means I will help lead the congregation. Right now, I'm the secretary So I'm the guy that interviews people and vets people to make sure that we don't get these crazy nut jobs that want to sacrifice animals and drink blood and shit, because we're non-theistic. We don't
So it's
Yeah,
like the 10 principles kind of Satan, like the do no harm or some shit like that. Is that
so
maybe
we
I'm
have,
off on?
we have 7 tenets that we have. Like one should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. So there's 7 guiding principles that we try to live by. It's not like, in fact, one of the tenets is every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written and spoken word, which includes the tenets. If the tenets don't make sense, use reason.
Let me ask, are you an atheist as far as a thought of a higher power God goes?
I am non-theistic, which is different than atheism. Atheism says, I am not this. Non-theistic says, I am this. I don't acknowledge gods, period. I
Mhm.
don't say that they exist or that they don't exist. That's up to you. I can't tell you what is the ultimate truth, and I'm not trying to either.
The next time someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
It's very interesting to me because I mean, man, will you come back and do another show sometime?
Absolutely, I will.
So
Absolutely.
that we can like really pick up basically
Yeah,
where we left off. We won't go as
yeah.
far down the
Yeah.
military rabbit
Yeah,
hole
that
that
sounds
time.
good.
Because it's fascinating to me, and I can talk about philosophy and religion for another 2 fucking hours.
Same.
Hell yeah.
So,
same.
Yeah, we've got a Super Bowl
I
to
think
watch,
that
guys.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm
And I
watching
think
later with my
everybody's
kids.
doing band practices too. So,
Yeah.
awesome fucking time, Nick.
I
It
know,
went
I
by,
loved
it
it.
flew by
I
so
loved it. Yeah,
fast.
same.
So
My heart's hurting because I don't want it to end.
yeah.
I know, right?
I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm used to like, fuck it, we're gonna go till 4 in the morning, you know?
Right? Yeah.
I think that this is by far just so awesome, and I want to thank anybody that watched, and
Chimed
hopefully
in.
that
Hell
you
yeah.
guys fucking see what a cool fucking dude Nick is and what a cool dude I am, and Shep is doing his best.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
hey, that's all you can do, baby.
we really appreciate you,
Giving
bro.
us all of God, Captain.
No, I'm one of those people that lives by one of my firm things, and I tell so many people this is iron sharpens iron. And so when I get the chance to be around people that I think are very talented and they're doing shit, because there's people that talk about doing shit and there's people that do shit. And I am very much inspired when I see other people out doing shit and whatnot. And Nick, I think you're a doer,
I
not
am.
just a talker. And I think that you're a very interesting dude. So thank you
I
for
appreciate
taking
that.
the time today
Absolutely.
to come onto the show. Everybody can catch you, me as well. I guess it's this Friday. I thought it
Yeah.
was this Thursday, but this Friday, fuck it, at Long Shot. So come out to that. We also told you guys there's other shit going on. And so, you know, I'm always going to plug my shit the hardest. But if there's other bands that you're hearing and that's your fucking thing, go watch them and let like
Absolutely.
just
Where do
get
you
the
get
fuck
your
out.
butt plugs from, anyways?
My butt plugs?
I mean, you said you're gonna plug it the hardest, right?
Damn.
Hey.
Right. Well, on that, we'll end the show on butt plugs.
Oh,
We'll pick it up, at least. Oh,
Sounds
yeah.
good.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick, thank you so much
thanks
for
for having
coming
me,
on.
guys. I
Great
appreciate
first
it.
episode. Next week, we've got Jesse and Rob Riot coming on.
That's right.
I am
Oh my
going to
God.
get a haircut live on the show.
So
So
am I.
fucking
So am I,
you're
brother.
hearing that announcement for the first
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
So live
That's
haircut. You say you are as well?
Yeah, she said
Live
she's gonna give me a
haircuts.
real shaving because you know I don't have.
And
fucking
guys, if
hair.
you've got shows coming up, like, and you see what we're doing here, we want to get people on that have shit coming up the week following or so. So please get with us. You can hit me up. You can hit up Shep. Don't hit up Nick Bones. He's just here this week. He doesn't want that responsibility. But
I get too much shit going on.
if you got shit you want to promote, hit us up. Come on the fucking show. We definitely try to work everybody in that we can. We love you guys. Thanks for watching Chop Livers weekend wrap up. And we'll see you next Sunday with Jesse and Rob Riot. Thanks,
Hell
guys.
yeah. And another shout out to the button guy, our sponsor, William Boswell. Cheers.
You think you're weird? I think you're dumb. You fucking